Hi, I'm Dumae Series, one of the Becker County Extension Master Gardeners. Today I'd like to talk to you about what to do when you figure out something is wrong with your plant. When you have a problem with the plant and you want to figure out what the problem is, it's a lot like when you go to the doctor. You go to the doctor with a vague symptom like a cough or a stomach ache. It really could be just about anything from something minor to something life-threatening. And you might even have more than one thing going on. So your doctor will likely ask you a lot of questions, and they may even do some more testing to find out what is wrong with you. So if you ask Master Gardeners for help, we will probably also ask you a lot of questions. You might think of them as the old W question, the WH question, who, what, when, where, why, or you can think of them as P questions. We might ask you a lot of questions, and we might want to see a sample or a photograph of the plant. So first of all, who, the plant. We want to know exactly what kind of plant you have. You should be able to know what it is. If you know the common name, that might be enough, but sometimes knowing the official or Latin name is really important. Using the common name of a plant is sometimes troublesome because more than one thing can go by that name. For example, if you say you have a snowball bush, it could be at least two things. It could be a Hydrangea arborescens, also known as Annabelle, or it could be a Viburnum macrocephalum, also known as a Chinese snowball viburnum bush. These are two very different shrubs despite their same common name and their similar appearance. Also, names can be confusing. Poison oak is not an oak, poison ivy is not an ivy, and mountain ash is not an ash, and so it goes. The reason for knowing which plant you have is very important because most diseases and pests are host specific. That means they only bother a certain range of plant. So for example, if you have a mountain ash tree, we can be pretty sure that you don't have emerald ash borer on it because it's not a real ash, and we know that those bugs are only known to bother real ash trees. If you need to describe the plant for us, or if you need to take pictures, there are some things that could be helpful for us. We would want to know the height of the plant, the overall shape, the blooms if it has blooms, when and where they are, color of them. We'd also want to know about the leaves and the stems, how they're connected to the plant, and what shape the leaves are. The second most important thing after knowing what plant you have is knowing what the problem is. You need to know what's normal for your plant. For example, this petunia, if you're used to just plain pink petunias, you might think that there's something wrong with this plant. But if you look at the tag that came with it, the picture looks just like it. So there's nothing wrong with this petunia. So when you come in with a problem, we'll ask you to describe the symptoms and the signs that you see. Symptoms can be what the plant damage is, and signs are things that are left by the pathogen, such as frass, or exit holes, or spores, those kinds of things. If you bring in a sample of a suspect insect, make sure that you contain it in a bag or a jar. Plant samples should be as fresh as possible, and if the plant appears to be dying, please bring in some living tissue as well as the part that's dying. We'll probably ask several follow-up questions, such as, what part of the plant is affected? Do you see anything at the base of the plant that's unusual? When did the symptoms appear? Did they come on suddenly or along with some event? How have the symptoms changed? Then we'll ask you questions about where the plant is. We might also ask you what you think the problem might be. So much like your primary care provider, we'll take all the information you give us and try to narrow down what is wrong with your plant. Some things are very distinct and obvious, and we may know right away what is wrong with your plant. For example, if you have a cherry, plum, or other stone fruit tree with what can be described as dog poop on a stick, we can be pretty sure it's black knot, which is a fungus that attacks those trees and has a very distinct look. However, sometimes we will need to ask more questions. We might need to consult with other master gardeners. We might even have to ask specialists at the U of M. We might recommend that you send a sample to the U of M for a further diagnosis. And sometimes there is more than one thing wrong. Diseases can be thought of as needing three things: a pathogen, a susceptible host, and environmental conditions conducive to the pathogen. We can partially control the host part by buying plants that are not susceptible to that pathogen. And because most plant issues have a cultural or environmental aspect, a good plan to prevent and control problems might include the following: choosing the right plant and putting it in the right place, having a soil test done to determine the nutrients available to the plant, cleaning up debris at the end of the season, especially if there have been problems in the past. Make sure to give plants good air circulation, and if you must water, try to either water closer to the ground or early in the day so that the plants can dry out. I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for tuning in.